When AOC happily psychoanalyzes groups of people, then it's an invitation to return the favor. This is why she is so pro-illegal immigration. She's projecting her secret desires for young, virile men.
We know they don't work.
They do work.
Look what we have. Look what we have. We had a moderate president, and we have crime exploding everywhere. We had a Democrat president promise that he was going to be moderate, promise that he was going to unite the country, and now we have a terrible education system. We have no border. We have crime everywhere. Every facet of society is in peril and in chaos because our elections don't matter.
There is an actual, real, practical, fact-based conflict going on here, which is an opportunity for the Republicans to reclaim or claim their right as the parents' party. Say, hey, we're not going to call you domestic terrorists. We're not going to champion surgery for gender confusion. We're not going to call your kids irrevocably racist. Take a page out of Joe's Handbook of Fear, right? Scare the crap out of parents.
It made me think, as someone, obviously I'm not black, but I'm Jewish. Would someone say about the Holocaust, for instance, that there were some benefits for Jews, right? While they were hanging out in concentration camps, you learned a strong work ethic, right? Maybe you learned a new skill.
Did you ever read Man's Search for Meaning? Vic Frankl talks about how you had to survive in a concentration camp by having skills. You had to be useful. Utility kept you alive.
So that appears to be a bit of a perversion of what the book actually said. So Cenk, you've read the book. To tell us your thoughts.
Yeah. So boy, did he leave out an important part. So I did read that book, and in a lot of ways, it's the most hopeful and the most heartbreaking book you've ever read. And the fact that he was able to maintain his optimism throughout and afterwards is what's stunning, and that's why that book has gotten so much attention. And but what Viktor Frankl writes in the book is absolutely devastating. When he said useful, it was useful to the Nazis, and a lot of times it was in shepherding, registering other Jews. And when you read the stories of the folks who collaborated and were useful to the Nazis, I cannot understand how Frankl kept his optimism. And for a guy as optimistic as me. And so when you find out what happened inside those camps, it is worse than anything you could imagine.
AOC happily psychoanalyzes groups of people, then it's an invitation to return the favor, right? If she can do it, she's saying that people who support Trump are projecting their masculine insecurity. But isn't she saying that because of her own insecurities about her boyfriend's masculinity, right? She must realize how soft and buttery and feminine progressive males are. And it's hard to get horny with a snowflake. So it's why, and I think this is why she is so pro-illegal immigration. She's projecting her secret desires for young, virile men who are coming here in droves, and she's stuck with Pajama Boy, and it's driving her crazy. All these Trump supporters, men, MMA fighters, drives her nuts.
I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure that she has the views that she has because she wants. Wait, is he arguing that the men coming in to the country are conservative men? Because they can't be progressive men, right? They can't be, and then the Democratic Party is going to use these right-wing immigrants coming into the country to win elections, right? That's the other argument they make. What?
Certain people get criminal mulligans, and January 6 protesters, they don't get criminal mulligans, and here's why. They're the oppressor, right? So the oppressed get criminal mulligans. The people that are complaining like us, we're actually oppressors, and we're losing power, so that's why we're upset. I just got a job at MSNBC. But let's compare the rights between criminals and victims. Okay, the criminals, they get a mulligan. They get to steal up to $900 worth of stuff. They can loiter, sleep, and shoot up in public areas, including playgrounds. They can loot and burn and call it social justice. They can pile up dozens of arrests and never do time. Meanwhile, what about us? Well, we have to change our lives to accommodate risk wherever we go. We have to move out of cities for the sake of the safety of our families and our own safety. That's what's happening. We're being driven out of cities by the oppressed.
Is it surprising that the Fox News hosts are going to lie and say that they're getting a criminal mulligan when they're not? Is it surprising that they would say that the guys who attempted a coup against America are the same as a guy who stole toothpaste or whatever the hell they stole out of that store, or even an iPod, okay? Do iPods still exist? Anyways, I meant to say iPhone. But to me, that's a minor issue compared to the giant issue of this guy egging on violence to a significant size audience. I mean, that's 2 to 3 million people that are watching there, as he says, the only way to get to peace is through war. Now, aren't you gonna do something about these guys? Maybe it's time for war. And when, especially at a time when 40% of Republicans, 41% of independents, 23% of Democrats are saying that it might be, sometimes violence might be justified. 30% of Republicans saying that time might be right now for patriots to act in a violent way.
I remember when I was watching the protests after 2016 when Trump won, and I saw the protests. It was a lot of single women. It wasn't a lot of men, and the men there, they weren't exquisite specimens, let's face it. But I saw a lot of young, angry females. And the Democratic Party, in a way, has become the party of young, angry, single women, right? They place abortion before babies, right? It's their right to have convenience up to the birth. Abortion on demand up to birth. That is not a party for a family. So I think the Republican Party should focus on being the party for parents. It's right there. It's a real battle. The facts are there. Do it.
There's Greg Gutfeld giving Republican politicians really bad advice. He wants them to lean into misogyny. He wants them to lean into policy proposals that control the lives and bodies of women. And he thinks it's a great idea in helping to gain power, accumulate power for the Republican Party. He must have missed the message involving, all of those Republican candidates who have done a 180 on their anti-abortion message after they realized that they were experiencing a massive dip in polling.